This episode is sponsored by Afternoon Naps, not just for toddlers and old people.
This episode is also brought to you by Aaron Carter's hit song, That's How I Beat Shaq. This is Sorry for the Wait. Here we go! Fired up, ready to go. Welcome to the show, folks. This is Sorry for the Wait, a weight loss podcast for regular people by regular people. I am your host, Seth.
And I am your host, Strawberry.
This is a little bit of raspy, Seth. This is
It is. It's early in the morning, Seth.
This is late night call in. What are your troubles? What are your dreams? Just call into Seth.
Can I just take a quick detour to your fake sponsor there for a second? Because
What? That's How I Beat Shaq?
That's How I Beat Shaq is probably the weirdest, time capsule pop culture moment, I think, of our lifetime for sure, possibly of everybody's lifetime.
I just don't understand what a kid's going through in their mind when they're like, what should I write about today for my sing-song? I'm going to play Shaq in basketball and beat him.
Yeah, and Shaq was about it. I mean,
I forget if he was in the actual music video or not, or if they just got a tall dude to just stand and they just made sure the camera never saw his face.
I mean, yeah, I always thought it was Shaq, but if it's not, then I'm going to feel kind of like my life was a lie.
Yeah, what an easy check that must have been for Shaq.
I was always more of an I Want Candy guy with
that entire album is pretty fire when you think about it. Aaron's Party Come Get It was the name, I think was the date, the feature single on that song. What happened? Aaron Carter went nuts now though, didn't he?
I think he had a rough couple years, but I think maybe now he's okay again.
Yeah,
I think he might be a Macaulay Culkin sort of trajectory.
Can anyone tell us if Aaron Carter's okay?
Aaron, if you're listening, which I know you usually are.
Friend of the program.
Friend of the pod.
We hope you're okay. But in the spirit of Aaron Carter being okay, how was your week?
It was a pretty good week. I lost 3 pounds.
Heyo.
Which, for those of you keeping track at home, now means that I have lost 100 pounds again.
Yeah, you so nice. Woo! You did it twice.
I loved it.
For those keeping score at home. That's great. A 3 pound week is really strong. That's awesome.
No, it was. And, I gained about 1.5 pounds last week, so I kind of needed a pretty balancing week. But really, more importantly, this week for me was about, I got some new drip.
Oh, yeah, you did get a lot of new drip.
Yeah, I spent last weekend shopping, getting some nice clothes, some new duds.
You invaded Old Navy with the passion of 1,000 suns.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and you came home with bags.
And it's funny because now that I've started to get new clothes, it now makes me realize, shit, I need to go and get even more new clothes.
Right.
Because now that I've started wearing clothes that fit me and aren't sacks that I just fling over myself. Yeah. Now it's kind of I don't want to go back to wearing these other 2XLs, even if I'm just lounging around the house.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny how because you get in a routine of what your staple clothes are when you're big.
I've never had to get a new wardrobe.
Right, yeah.
I've always had the same clothes since probably college. I've just added to it.
Right, and it's pretty funny when you have those staple clothes and that's a go-to for this kind of setting, and then it all gets kind of turned upside down because it's almost a little overwhelming because you have more options now.
Yeah, I can actually buy clothes in normal stores instead of having to I don't know, look at the couple of options they had at 3X and then go shop at casual male XL.
Yeah, and then just kind of formulate around there. But that's awesome. Back in the 100 down.
Yeah. So how's your week been?
I mean, look, overall it was a good week, and people will see from the title of this episode. I mean, I'm not worried about what happened. I'm up 0.5 pound, but I honestly, good is relative, but honestly I'm fine with it because this week was nuts. It was a little challenging, but overall, I mean, I thought to be up 0.5 pound after all the festivities of the namesake of this title. I mean, you can hear it in my voice too. It's a little raspy, but I always just we
got hungover, Seth, over here.
No, because Seth didn't touch one sip of alcohol during these festivities. But it's just kind of funny. I felt like I handled it so well. Since I know that I handled my shit really well. Seeing up 0.5 pound, I was just you know what? That's all things considered. I am absolutely fine with that.
I feel 99% of people when they go to a wedding, they go, Like, oh, like if they were to look at the scale the day after and see that they gained half a pound at the wedding, they'd be like, wow, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of a big win for your boy here, and we'll get into that obviously. But I mean, I just don't even want to beat around the bush. I just want to get right into it. It's time for the Craving of the Week. I am so excited for this Craving of the Week.
Are you?
We have a submission. We've got some, I mean, just in the spirit of going to festivities, it really really revved my engine, my Craving of the Week engine. And so, but I do want to hear yours first because I mean, we haven't seen each other all week.
I know it's been a very weird week, like with our schedules.
Yeah, like
not overlapping.
You've been out. I haven't even been here. It's been a weird week. So I'm interested. I was thinking about it all week, like what you were going to come at me with.
So Dunkin' Donuts has a new breakfast.
Okay.
That they have available, and they now have scones.
Dunkin' has scones.
Red alert! This is not a drill.
Call the press.
And everybody at camp, all of our camp people, I think you guys relate to the whole scone thing because scones was notorious, especially years ago.
Scones
was like the best breakfast.
It was the staple best breakfast, and you could either get cinnamon or you could get blueberry. Like you had that option to it, and it sat in your stomach like a lead brick for 2 whole periods.
and when I first started, they would give us scones like every 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And then like over the next few years, they just phased them out.
Right. And then all of a sudden it was just like, man, we haven't had scones in a while, and someone's like, it's been 2 years. It's been 2 goddamn years.
But the scones that Dunkin' has, I really love the flavors. They're really experimenting. They've got a garlic and herb one, and they've got a chocolate and banana one, which I did not try yet.
That's interesting.
But that's definitely on the list.
So a garlic and herb scone though too, like do you jump on that with butter? Or do you just kind of eat that shit regular?
I just kind of ate that shit regular, but that's because I didn't, it was on the go. I'm not going to Dunkin' to sit down and like prepare my food. Yeah, ease of consumption. You know the drill.
Yeah.
But so I'm thinking about like all of these different places. I wish scones were more of a widespread thing.
More of a phenomenon.
At least on this side of the pond. I'm sure Britain has a lot of scone stuff going on.
Our UK listeners love them scones.
And I just wish we had more of them. And I decided I wanted to workshop this with you, and I wanted to maybe flip the tables because you give me 3 options of your marketing brain a lot. I want to give you a couple of different delivery options for these scones. Okay. And I want you to work with me to figure out which of these is the best.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So first things first, the Rosetta Scone.
Ooh.
Learn a new language. The first language program that is entirely rewards-based with scones.
Oh, I love that.
So, hey, did you pass the test this week? Great, scones. Did you fail? No scones for you.
It's just estoy contenta. No, estoy contento. No scone.
The only limitation is the size of your stomach.
That's really funny. Just an entire language reward system based off of scones. And call it Rosetta Scone.
Number 2, an ice cream truck. But instead of ice cream, what do they sell?
Scones. Okay, so yeah.
And you know what? We gotta do make here. We don't want to be playing the same ice cream truck music because that's gonna give people bad expectations.
Okay.
So instead, let's just play classic rock, and we can call this truck the Rolling Scones.
Oh, yes. Give me more scone puns. I like the Rolling Scone. Because that really does play into the whole mobile aspect.
Yeah, I figured classic rock and driving.
Like,
so
look out, Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Here comes the fucking Rolling Scone.
All right, and last one, a scones-based dating app. So what flavor scones are your favorite? You guys can match based off of that. Go on a scone date.
Find love through scone.
If anybody wants to find a man after their scone heart...
Look no further
than man after my scone heart. That was the pun.
That's the pun.
That was
man
the
after. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna rank that one third.
Okay,
but I think it's tough between Rosetta Scone might be my favorite.
Okay,
I also kind of like maybe the Scone Zone, and we can it's almost like one of those multi-purpose arcade areas.
Ooh,
like they have like we have
Busters.
We have laser tag. We have shooting shit at cans.
We have scones.
Yeah, and it's like, you guys want to go eat at the restaurant? It's only scones. I really like that. That's good.
Yeah. So what are you craving this week?
So I mean, this is just a very wedding-filled episode, and so my craving stems from the wedding, and so does our submission, honestly. But first, for me, I mean, me first.
Yeah.
You know? But
priorities.
Yesterday, we had like a post-wedding brunch, and there were cake pops there. And your boy has never had a cake pop before. I know that they were like popular at Starbucks. We don't really go to Starbucks.
I've actually also never had a cake pop.
But I've always seen them. You know what I mean? I've always seen a cake pop. And so there were cake pops yesterday. And I was like, this shit is delicious. It was like white coating, but red velvet cake on the inside.
Ooh.
It was really, really good. And so all I could think of was like, man, the cake pop is over so soon.
Yeah.
It's not... It's such a quick eating experience.
That's why I never got one, because I was like, why invest myself into that?
So Barry, let me put on my hard hat then, and let's go to the construction site, because I want a goddamn wrecking ball of cake pop. You can catch me Miley Cyrusing in my birthday suit, just swinging on this cake. That's cake on cake right there. If I am Miley Cyrusing on a wedding ball, like a wedding cake pop wrecking ball. And this thing was delicious. And all I could think of is just, I can use it to just like, I would honestly stand in front of it and just probably take a few licks and just eat the cake
just right to the face.
Yeah, you know, if I really just need to wake myself up and I'm looking for that sugar blast, or I could use it to crush my enemies. Kill them with cake.
Kill them with cake. I like that. Now, is it also, is this giant wrecking ball going to be like all red velvet on the inside? And
so I think that's such an interesting part of cake pops, is that I would never think to do like kind of a white chocolate coating with red velvet. There was another one there that was carrot cake on the inside.
Ooh.
And I was like, man, the possibilities are endless.
They really are.
For that. And for me, I'm such a cheesecake guy that I forget what a really good kind of cake texture feels like.
Yeah.
And it was fabuloso. Very good. So Fabuloso. That's really, I was so overcome with joy that's what it is. But I do have a submission.
Yeah.
I do have a submission, and this is from Jessie. Jessie over in New Bedford. So Jessie, thank you. Birdie, she'll know. But here's the thing. So Jessie, we were sitting and we were talking at the wedding, and she's just talking about, you know what? Like, I love jalapeno poppers. And I was like, hell yeah. We love jalapeno poppers. And so Jessie came up with the idea that she wants a jalapeno popper trampoline. And so the trampoline, right? And so at first, when I first heard it, I was like, man, I don't know, like, how's this going to work? And so she lined it up as like, you know how some trampolines are screened in around? She wants the jalapeno poppers kind of stuck to the screen. Then you can jump
like
up
on the outside.
Well, so you can jump up in the trampoline and the screen, and you jump up and grab with your hand right off the screen wall.
Ooh,
and so you're not falling. Nice. You're not falling out of the trampoline. And then maybe if
you're just bouncing on normal tramp.
Exactly. And so, but maybe you want to jump up and grab with your mouth. And let's not just say that they have to be fried jalapeno poppers. She wants the fried with the yellow cheese inside. Ooh. She wants the fried with the white queso inside. But she also wants. She said that she's had jalapeno poppers, right? Okay. It's the jalapeno, cream cheese, and sausage on the inside.
What?
Cream cheese and sausage, and then wrapped in bacon. You want to talk about...
All right, I need to know, where did you find this? Well, where can I go get it? Because jalapeno poppers are the shit. That's all I gotta say.
That's just so incredible. I never even thought of wrapping a jalapeno popper in bacon. But you know what? Why not? So she said that that's a recipe, like a made recipe.
Oh, it's a made recipe?
Yeah, no, like we're not going to Domino's and being like, hey, can you do this shit for us? But I just thought that was so innovative, because you know what? We're trying to be active through our craving.
Yeah, and you know what? Trampolines are fun. I haven't been on a trampoline in a while.
And you know, we could probably go on a trampoline and look, at least, I mean, who looks normal in their mid-20s on a trampoline? But I don't think we would look as comical.
It would probably be less painful, because it would be like 200 less pounds of us just flopping around.
Could you imagine us double jumping each other, like in our old weight?
That would have been tricky.
We might have established our own center of gravity. But Jessie, thank you for that submission. And folks, as always, SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com. But hey, Can I give you a hey big guys?
Absolutely. I'd be offended if you didn't.
Speaking of SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com, I mean, perfectly, we got a hey big guys. Folks, hey big guys is back because we have to help somebody.
Oh yeah, this is a tragic situation here.
We have to help somebody, and we're happy to help. So folks, I mean, if you need some advice, this is the advice that you never asked for and the advice that we should probably not give. But here's the email. Hey, big guys. I live with a close friend I met our freshman year of college. He and I are firmly established best friends. This reading me like
I'm already like,
who can relate?
Zone.
He and I are firmly established best friends, and since we both started grad school, it was the perfect situation and cost effective to be living together.
Okay.
However, recently I've noticed something I think is insane. My roommate has been coming home with a lot of takeout, parentheses normal, but the food and drink combo is always different. Just a few weeks ago, he came in with a 20-piece nugget and fries with a large black iced coffee. The other day, he came back with 2 bagel sandwiches and a bottle of white wine and proceeded to eat them while drinking the entire bottle of wine. Okay, when I asked him about it, he said, I never really noticed. I just get what I'm feeling. And I have felt some type of way ever since. Do I call the police? Or is he a genius bucking society's norms? Is this a dude thing? Please help. That's from No Idea in New Orleans.
All right. Love the pun. Let's start with that. Love the pun. Wow. Okay.
Okay. And before we establish, when we both first read this email,
I think it was in our inbox for maybe less than 30 seconds.
And we knew
we
were doing it. But like the entire time reading them, I'm like, don't yuck yum, don't yuck somebody's yum.
Like I wrote on here, the number 2 things I wrote on here is don't yuck his yum and don't knock it till you try it.
However,
because I do want to keep those general rules in mind.
However, though, I think that for someone in grad school is stressful, right? Like there is definitely an are you okay factor in play. If you're coming home with iced coffee and some dank nugs, some dank nugs of Ronald, and you are just trying to eat McNuggets and a black iced coffee. Maybe it's because it's the black iced coffee that's kind of throwing me off.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like black iced coffee in general is a cry for help. So,
but I just think that there is a class factor with bagel sandwiches and white wine. And you compare wine with just about anything, and I'd be like, ooh, class A.
Bagels.
Yeah, I know, but maybe that's just his substitution of crackers. It's just a bigger, softer cracker with sausage, egg, and cheese on it.
You're not wrong there. I kind of come at it from the perspective of, number one, I have done shit like that before where, like, I went to, I woke up, and so I wake up, what do I want? I want to get coffee.
Right.
But it's also, like, lunchtime, because this is years ago when I would, like, wake up around noon. Yeah. Like a fucking psycho. So I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to go to Burger King and I'm going to get a chicken sandwich, and then I'm going to go to Dunkin', I'm going to get my coffee, and then I'm going to have both of those.
Yeah.
So I've played around with having coffee with a meal that's not breakfast.
Right.
And it's weird, but I wouldn't be like,
I'm not totally
against that. I almost feel like the wine and bagel thing for some reason hit me even worse.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just so funny to me. Like uncorking a bottle of wine as you unwrap your greasy breakfast sandwich.
I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but I don't really think of wine as like a breakfast drink.
I would look at somebody drinking. I would look at somebody drinking hard whiskey more normally, like at that time in the morning eating bagel sandwich,
right.
Little hair of the dog.
At least if you're
then
drinking
I would
hard
white
whiskey,
wine.
At least if you're drinking hard whiskey, I feel like you acknowledge that you're in a rough patch right now.
Yeah, I'm talking like 90 proof, like you're just. But I don't think I'm any better though, because I first read these and I was like, man, like I know that I've done this, and then I vividly remembered one from our camp days. Because there was a sushi place right on Route 611.
Oh no!
Right and then what was right next to it but a Sonic, and look, like I'm no better. I would leave the Hojo on our days off and just be like, I'm just gonna go get a couple rolls of sushi, and then a large cherry limeade. And I remember like sitting on my car and being like, wow, what a delectable combo. And I know that if somebody saw me, they'd be like, what are you doing?
Honestly, that was probably a cry for help.
Yeah, it might be. I do think there's a visionary factor at play here. This guy's bucking the norms.
Yeah, no, it is. But like if you think about it, at one point, somebody put peanut butter and chocolate together, and somebody probably said, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, somebody was probably like, you can't do that.
And now Reese's keeps Seth's life going.
I know, they really do. It's just a straight IV in there. Have you ever had any like ridiculous like drink food combos?
Not that I can remember off the top of my head, but honestly that's because I was so like
we were so in a haze.
I didn't care about any of it that like I probably could have eaten ridiculous combinations and it didn't even faze me.
Right. And like, I don't know. I just think that maybe this is, what we're starting to hold, like everyone's saying there's a new normal in play now, right? Like the new normal. Why not a part of this new normal? We stop drink shaming.
Yeah.
And plus don't call the police. And I also don't think
maybe a wellness check, but not the police.
I don't think this is a dude thing. You know what I mean? I feel like this is an everybody thing. Everybody has that one thing that they're like, yeah, I can have that meal with that drink.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's any like gender norm attached to it.
No, if anything, like I understand your concern for your friends.
Right.
I definitely understand your concern. Maybe think of it like it's a red flag. If there are other red flags there that might indicate like things aren't going so well for him, then maybe that's something you should be thinking about. But I don't be like, oh, he ate, chicken nuggets and iced coffee together. Like,
yeah, but so this is this is something to note, because here's the thing, right? Is that if I know, hang with me, if this dude ends up on the news for some like ridiculously sinister and crazy dark thing, this is something you can point back to and be like,
oh, I should have done something. I should have said something.
Beans. Man, did you ever notice anything weird about the guy? Like, no, he kept his room clean. He did eat chicken. He did have dank nugs with iced coffee, and the police are like, why didn't
you say something sooner?
Why didn't you? We have a list for these people, and I would be on that list with my sushi and cherry lime.
Honestly, I think a lot of us would be on that list too.
And so that's another. Hey, big guys, did we help you? Probably not. But here's the thing:
it's honestly him who needs more help.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have him call us, and we'll go through some drink combos that make him feel a lot more comfortable about his. Maybe that's what we have to do.
Yeah,
just be like, no, we once did this, and we're fine now. But that's another Hey Big Guys, folks. If you have any advice that you need, obviously, SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com. But it's time to go in to the main topic and the title of this episode, How to Weigh a Wedding. It was a wedding weekend for your boy.
So how was this wedding?
It was a very important wedding. I mean, this is just a very important wedding for me and for me to celebrate two people that I love very, very much, and definitely a family affair, I think is the best way to put it. It was a family affair, and in these times when the big wedding gets the axe thrown down on it, what I mean?
I was kind of like, I'm interested to hear that perspective of how the wedding ended up being compared to maybe how it was originally planned.
Yeah, and so it's funny though. You have this big thing in mind, and then it turns into this much smaller event with very few people, but the right amount of people. Like, it's the right quality of people. It's the people you want there the most. And I think that's,
as opposed to the people who got an invitation because you needed to give them an invitation.
I mean, I don't even think it's much so that though, because obviously you don't want to make anybody feel bad. Like, you have to cut down the list because of just the times that we're in. But man, there was something to be said for everyone being around and being able to talk to everybody and not being strapped for time in terms of just like the gathering. It was just so seamless. But what I was most nervous about was just I was so focused on the wedding day and the food on the wedding day. Holy shitballs, did I forget? Like, hot diggity shit, there's just food everywhere all weekend. At every moment. It's
rehearsal dinner, breakfast, brunch.
There was just, but like, man, I am beforehand, I'm freaking out. I came home early on Friday. I took a half day from work, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to lay down for a second and just kind of catch my breath and kind of get myself ready for like the festivities of the weekend. I slept for 3 hours, and I woke up like an hour before I was supposed to be like where I needed to be.
No.
So I'm like throwing on clothes, and I'm like, no, we're good. And we get there, but like, it was so nice. It was really it's just so easy to forget how much food is involved. And I did come up with a few tips so far.
Ooh,
just right from the
good, because I am kind of nervous too. We have another wedding coming up in a couple months.
Yeah, a couple months.
But that is one of those things that was, one of the things that I wanted to slim down for.
Right.
And also one of the things that then makes me nervous because I haven't been to a wedding since I've lost weight.
I know, and it's such a weird crash course to go through because Friday night rehearsal dinner, you know what I mean? They had a pizza food truck, which fuck me running, dude. God. Like, I am and so I knew as soon as I got up, and I was kind of feeling still a little nervous, like, and I was still here.
Right.
That I was like, I gotta eat now. Like, and I made sure to eat something, not something like massive, but I was like, I need to eat now so that way I'm not pulling up right out of the car being like, feed me
pizza.
Yeah. And so I did that, and then I ordered the pizza, but then I just kind of saved it because eating beforehand helped me a ton. This, I don't know if it's feasible for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, this was like a home game for me with the environment. Like, it's not like I was at like some big function. But me eating beforehand, or at least just having stuff that gave me a little bit of that control back, that was the big thing. Because when you go to weddings, when you go to restaurants, you relinquish a lot of the control.
Right. Whatever you're eating is whatever they put in front of you.
Right. Like, you could maybe go to Chili's or go somewhere and be like, I'm going to order the salad. But that salad is maybe only 200 calories off of what you were going to order because you don't know everything that's going to be in there unless you're dissecting the entire plate as you go. So eating beforehand helped me a ton. And then the other thing was the next day, like, is wedding day. We are at a diner early in the morning, like, ready to go. And so I was like, you know what? You have to pace yourself. The one thing that I would always say about a wedding weekend is that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
When it comes to your food. And I know, like, it's easy to be caught up. You're celebrating. You're happy. You're thrilled for all of the festivities. But it can get away from you. It started to almost get away from me. And then I kind of had to, like, pull myself back in.
In what way was it starting to get away from you?
Okay, so like Friday night, there's a shit ton of pizza, but I was good because I'd kind of eaten beforehand. I did cramp a little bit throughout the weekend, but like it wasn't anything too serious. Where it started to get away from me was we started the day at a diner and like I had half of an omelet because I was like, you know what? Let's stick with eggs. We know
how eggs work.
Right, we know how eggs go and we know how eggs are going to sit. Like we're going to be fine there. So I have half there. Then we like leave the diner and I'm like an hour goes by, 2 hours goes by. I'm like, oh man, like I'm hungry. And like we're taking photos, we're rushing back and forth. We're going from here to here to here. And so I threw a stick of gum in and I was like, let's just get this in here. Let's get this minty mouth. And that helped me a ton. Mints and gum, I think, are a huge saving grace. And so that helped me kind of pull myself back in. But it starts to get away from me a little bit more because we're waiting for the ceremony to start. And there's sandwiches, there's snacks because
all the hors d'oeuvres.
I mean, we're on the pond, like we're kind of at a lake house, and so it's sort of just this very kind of comfortable environment where you know where you are, and like you could just go to the pantry and get a snack, and you're just waiting for everything to start. And so for me, my big thing, okay, this is gonna sound psychotic, okay,
can't wait.
So I am a big proponent of establishing like a quiet room. Okay, like your quiet room and how it manifests when you're on a weight loss journey, because you're gonna get overwhelmed when you're seeing everything. And this was during cocktail hour that it really kind of like started to give me a little bit of the yips. Is that there were clam chowder little mason jars with a little clam cake on top.
Oh,
yeah, I know. There was like braised short rib on these like little crackers and shit. And there's a raw bar, and I'm like, you've got to be. Ooh, I am just kind of like, I'm looking in 40 different directions and I'm not drinking because I know that once I start drinking, then I'm going to be like, just 4 shots of clam chowder, please. Like,
4 shots of clam chowder. That won't be much.
And so I established like a quiet room, and like, this is tough whether you're at if you're at a big event, if we were at the original venue,
would not have been possible.
Well, I just would have been into like a janitor's closet and someone would have come in and I'd be like, I'll pay you $500 human if you tell nobody that I'm sitting in here. Like, like they're like, yeah, you're just going to sit on the Clorox. I'm like, I'm going to sit on the Clorox and we're just going to sit. You want to sit? That's cool. But I was able to kind of find little pockets of time that I could assess the situation and be like, I can slip out for a little bit.
Right.
I can slip out and take 20 minutes and just kind of regroup and get my head right. Because what I was finding is that, like, as I was just starting to enjoy the night more and more, I would just find myself being like, I could eat. And I think this is still an emotional receptor that's attached, like, to my brain.
Like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago about how, like, we're so naturally attuned that when we celebrate, we eat.
Exactly.
You know, so when you're feeling good, you're celebrating things. You're like, yeah, I could do this.
Right. And it was never like I actively was like, I need to eat right now. It was always just like, man, like, I could eat because, like, this is such a great time and everyone's having a good time. And it was really self-actualizing, I guess, is that I now know for sure how much those feelings are still there, because this is just a constant battle of your relationship with food.
Well, and that is a very interesting thing, you know, because obviously we've talked before about how it's very important to be able to identify when you're craving food because you're actually hungry versus when you're craving food for other reasons.
Right.
Do you feel like taking the time to like identify that in your head took away your enjoyment of the wedding, or do you feel like you were still able to be in that moment, like enjoying it?
I was able to enjoy it once I got through like the first kind of wave of cramping. It was almost just kind of like the first blow. Like once I got the first blow and I was kind of like knocked on my ass a little bit, and I'm like, oh man, like you feel a little weird. But then like once taking that 10, 15 minutes to kind of reset is what saved me, honestly, because I would take that 10, 15 minutes and I'd sit and then I would say it out loud to myself and I'd be like, you know what? Like, of course you want to celebrate something that's great right in front of you that's coming around once. And it's like, there's a fine line of being able to acknowledge that like it's one day and it won't kill you. And also to understand that this is one day and it only comes around once, so you need to celebrate and enjoy it. And I think like the breaks allowed me to kind of find that balance of like, this is a monumentous occasion. Like this is something that you're going to remember for the rest of your life because it's such a happy day and a celebration of love that you don't want to be so much in your own head that you can't enjoy moments.
Right. That's the important part.
And I think that we're constantly trying to figure out like, how do I get the most enjoyment out of this while also not feeling like I left anything on the table or was too in my head about things? And I started to feel like that at times when I would like take my break, but then I just kept realizing like, you know what? It's 10 minutes here, it's 15 minutes there. And if that 10
And you were there for
a long
hours.
time.
I don't think I saw you, like you came home that day after midnight.
Yeah, well after midnight.
And you had left,
I'd left
9?
Yeah, I'd left early in the morning. And so like that was kind of the thing, is that I had to sit there and realize that like it's such a great day to celebrate that you can't be in your own head the whole time.
Right.
Because if you are, what are we doing? Because it's not about, we always feel like we have to pause our lives when we're on a weight loss journey. Right?
Right.
Like a lot of people are like, I just don't have the time. I can't do that in my life right now. And that is very true. Like
that was kind of my last couple months.
Right. And there's just a lot of people feel that your life has to be put on pause when you do a weight loss journey. And trust me, it's very difficult. It's very hard. But I encourage everybody, do not put your life on pause. Still find ways to enjoy your life. Enjoy moments.
Now, after the wedding is all said and done, how does your tummy tum-tum feel?
Honestly, you know, I since the cramping was throughout the wedding, and like I had strategies for my meals. Like it was steak and lobster tail.
Nice.
And so I was like, nice, dope. So basically the way that I did it is kind of like, I kind of quartered up the steak, like once it got to me, and I was like, this is the quarter you know you're going to eat. Okay. So it was kind of like four.
Ooh, okay.
And so I chunked it out 4 ways, and I said, this first quarter of this steak, you know you're going to eat that.
Right.
Because that's to like be like, I tried it, I did, like I'm eating. I crushed the vegetables the minute that my plate was set down.
Good.
Like,
always go for the vegetables first, fill up on those.
I hit the vegetables first, and then I quartered out the steak, and I was like, we're going to eat this one piece. We know that. And then you're going to sit for a little bit. And then depending on how you sit with the vegetables and the steak, and you're conversing. And what I encourage is to, like, it's hard for some people, but participate in as much conversation as you possibly can.
Because if you're talking, you're not eating.
Exactly. And it takes your mind off of it because you're forced to critically think and react and respond to this conversation that you're almost forgetting that, like, oh man, I was so one-track minded on food.
Right.
And so that was a big thing for me. So I would eat like that one piece of steak, and then I would kind of assess and converse and do this and do that. And then I would come back to the steak, and I would have to ask myself, I would murmur it under my hand, being like, are you still hungry, buddy? Like, you still want some steak? And then I kind of just realized, like, you know what? Like, I don't even want to push it. I feel good.
Did you have any lobster?
No, I had one bite of like a little bit of the lobster tail, but I left that on the table because that's the thing.
You should have brought it home for me.
No, I'm not bringing home main dish wedding food.
All right, cool. Just throw it out instead.
Well, what do you do? What, am I going to ask for a to-go box at the wedding?
I mean, I thought you were at a place where you felt comfortable going into cabinets. Maybe there's a Tupperware somewhere.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go grab a Tupperware.
No, it's okay, Seth. It's okay. I'm glad to know that you were thinking of me.
Do you know
how
weddings work? They cook per the person.
Seth, it's okay. It's
okay. Oh my God. I implore anybody to write in and ask if they've ever taken main dish food home from a wedding.
All I'm saying, Seth, all I'm saying is that I have lived in New England now for over 2 years.
Oh my God, I know what you're going to reference.
I've never had lobster.
You've never had lobster, and that is on you. You have never gone out of your way to have lobster.
You're right. I've never gone out of my way to have lobster, but
no, I just needed to be brought to me.
You also never went out of your way to bring me lobster.
Oh my God, this is domestic bliss, folks. Domestic podcast bliss amongst roommates. This is what it is. It's. I get yelled at for not bringing you expensive lobster.
Did I yell? I did not raise my voice. All I did was passive aggressively.
This is very funny that this is the wedding episode and we're bickering like a married couple. So
Look at
that's very fun.
Very fitting.
But what I really liked about this wedding is that it was so easy to be there. For like in terms of the social interaction, like there wasn't a massive amounts of extended family that you needed to like go through the rounds and like make sure you talk to this person, make sure you talk to this person. Like
right. And so you're having like these like 105-minute conversations with everybody instead of being able to have one nice conversation with the people you want to really talk to.
And all I could think was, and man, dude, I'm gonna toot my own horn here. I gave a killer speech at the rehearsal dinner.
I heard you weren't even home yet, and I was.
You were already hearing. It was the speech heard around the world. Like it was A+, 10 out of 10, like AAA rating from the Better Business Bureau. It was a good speech. I crushed it. And then here's the thing: is that what I encourage now? Okay, so you know how so many people are like, I don't dance, like right. So, like especially at weddings, like there is a very strong contingent of people who are in there boogieing and people who are just kind of like standing on the outside like with a drink in hand as if that's their excuse that they can't be dancing at the moment. I have to encourage as much dancing as possible because I worked it up somehow in my head that the more that I danced, the more I was moving.
Well, like, I mean, it is true. Like dancing is like a genuine workout.
Right.
I mean, we saw that at camp all the time.
I know. And all I could think of was like I know it won't be a massive, like you're not going to be burning 500 calories in your dance routine. Like,
no,
or just
but you're burning more calories than sitting on your butt.
Exactly. But then you're doing more than you are standing on the outside. And I kind of shocked some people with the moves.
Oh yeah.
I got like the band even had a little bit of a slack jaw, like kind of like what is going on.
Now, when you say you shock people, I can't tell quite yet if you mean that you were a good dancer and that's how you were shocking people.
You can ask this. You can ask the participants at this wedding. It was an A+ dance performance to Mo Money Mo Problems by Biggie that the band played this song, and I was just like, no. They're going to play this.
Are there any videos?
So I actually think we might have a few people who got it.
All right, good.
And so I'll
have to do some research there.
I'm really excited. Like honestly, it was really funny seeing my parents come up to me and they go, "You know how to do that?" So shout out to Drew, Hip
Hop Drew.
Yeah, Hip Hop Drew, baby. Teaching me the basic moves of rhythm at camp, and then I could make my way off of that. But overall, I think all I could think of during this wedding, right? And I don't know if you remember this from, weddings you've gone back to, is that late night, like people are hammered, people are starting to eat. Never did I feel more comfortable about the people around me that kind of understood the situation that I was going through. And you want to talk about having a killer support system around you, that nobody was like coming up to me drunkenly and being like, "Are you hungry? Like, do you want to go get some eggs?" Like, and doing stuff like that. It was a good group of people, and having a strong group of people around you that aren't going to like push you one way or the other,
right? To
have late night food or like, "Oh, you're not eating a lot, huh?" Like none of that, which I was very, very thankful for.
Yeah, because I feel like that could definitely go two ways. Because at least looking forward to like the next wedding that I think I'm going to be at, it's going to be hard for me. I mean, I think you have a much easier time with this, but for me, I do like drinking, not often. But at a celebration, like at a wedding, like I'll drink quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're gonna get.
It's like one of those things where it's like, But it's kind of I'm totally with you that like once you start to drink, your decision making is a little bit more. You're not really on top of all of your decisions the way that you are when you're totally sober, and that could have different consequences. It could have different effects. Stuff. It almost feels like the wedding in April. It's 6 months away. It almost feels like it's the final exam for this weight loss program.
Yeah, you think?
For myself. Yeah. It's almost like the final test, right? And I just, how do you study for a test like this?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Do you go on like a practice test, or do you just YOLO it? No studying, whatever.
And folks, this is where we have a big announcement. We tell you that we are pivoting to a wedding crashing podcast.
So if you know of any weddings in Massachusetts. Just send the address and the time to us. We'll show up.
Could you imagine us crashing weddings for the name of content? Like just being like, yeah, no, we're practicing. Sorry for your big day.
Maybe if we weren't still in a global pandemic, we would do that. But I feel like that's even more of an asshole thing to do. Yeah,
you want to talk about a community that's taken a hit during the pandemic. It's not people who want to have weddings. It's the wedding crashers. Yeah, absolutely. But honestly, overall, I was really happy with the way that I executed this weekend. Like, it wasn't without bumps in the road, but I felt comfortable, and I felt comfortable in my execution that I knew that even if I wanted to flex out a little bit and just like have a cake pop, have something like that, because the weekend went right along. There was a brunch yesterday that I was at all day, and this food was heavenly, but I made sure to just kind of pace myself and understand that, you know what?
What'd you eat for brunch?
I had a scoop of eggs, I had one strip of bacon, and then they had like these little like turkey wraps. And I was like, hell yeah.
I got to say, when you said heavenly, like, I'm not saying that none of those things can
No, the
taste
spread
heavenly.
Was heavenly.
Oh,
what
okay.
I had, I mean, it was
I was going to say, yeah, what you had doesn't really sound like heavenly. It just sounds kind of basic.
They had eggs, bacon. They had charcuterie cups because you can't do charcuterie boards. They had quite possibly the best smelling waffles I had ever seen. They had the cake pops. They had the wraps. There was a lot of different stuff. And so I just took that spread and I just identified like what's going to sit. And this will sit well. This will sit well. Having the turkey wrap was huge because this was also the thing of like after wedding festivities, like the day after stuff, it's where people linger. Like people linger and hang out. And that's kind of what it was yesterday, which was so nice because it was almost like a debrief of the wedding. But you can like, people are just kind of eating stuff all throughout the day. There's no set meal.
Right.
And so that's where I made sure to kind of just be like, okay, like let's pick our spots where we know we can have maybe one or two things throughout the rest of the day. And then we'll go from there. And so I think just like whenever anybody has a wedding, just map it out in your head. Like I know it seems like so simple to say that, but start writing it out. Like, okay, like what are you going to do when you're encountered with this spot and this spot? Because even if you don't follow it to a T, if you have a rough outline of how you want to approach a wedding when you're losing weight, it's going to make it at least a little less overwhelming when the moment arrives and you're not totally surprised.
And I feel like there might be some people who are listening to you talking about this experience and maybe come away with it with this attitude of like, well, you know, it's a wedding. You shouldn't have really even thought of it at all. You should have just done your thing and not let it really affect you. And I think that you're kind of showing that just because you are thinking ahead and thinking about, you know, your
preparation.
Yeah, and just everything that you've been putting all this work in for.
Right.
You know, you're able to assess that stuff and plan things out and think about it. And it's not like it's taking you out of the wedding and making it so you can't be a part of it. You can't spend that day.
Exactly.
You know,
yep.
It sounds like you were able to do both things. You were able to do what was right for yourself while also not letting it distract from the real reason you were there.
Right. And if anything, the prep and the foresight is what made me enjoy it so much.
Because otherwise you would have just been a bundle of anxiety for 72 hours.
If I hadn't have thought about this, I'd be like, we're going in blind.
I was kind of worried about you because I know that sometimes like with things like that, you can get into your own head. And that could like make you just be in your own head the entire weekend. And then you're kind of like,
and then you're just a vegetable. You're done.
Yeah.
Like you're.
So I'm really happy you weren't a vegetable.
Yeah, no, it was.
You were more of a cake pop.
I was more of a cake pop. I was a wrecking ball cake pop, Miley Cyrusing my way all over the dance floor, but with my clothes on. I made sure to keep them on. But you know what? That's another main topic down. How to weigh a wedding. And folks, if you actually, I'm really interested to hear if people have wedding tips. Because, I mean, obviously, our wedding game isn't as strong.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't been to many, but I know that we probably got some partiers out there and some people going to weddings. And if you've gone to a wedding on a weight loss journey, I really want to hear what people do to kind of get themselves in the zone.
And if you yourself are getting married, you have a wedding coming up, you know, I need a practice test for this wedding coming up in April. So send that invite to SFTWSubmissions at gmail.com.
Please, this is a dream of mine, is that this podcast becomes so well known that we get invited to a listener's wedding. Let it be known. I'm not joking. Let it be known that the first like listener outside of like our immediate camp network.
Don't
like,
let this be known.
No, I'm letting it be known. The very first listener that's from outside our network that like doesn't know us personally, that if they want to invite us to their wedding, we go to the first one and that's it. Like after the first one.
Yeah, so get your applications in now.
Yeah, we can't promise future weddings of listeners, but the first one that we ever get an invite to, we kind of have to go.
Yeah, as long as it's not like going to require me to get on a plane.
Yeah, no. This is going to be years from now. I mean, when weddings are back, like when weddings are so back, the remixes, you know? And so that's a big one. But hey, can we finish off? Can I give you a Breddit Butter?
Oh, please.
Yeah. And I'm very, very excited about this one because you're going in blind.
I am. And I love going in blind.
Yeah, you're going in blind. Because, I remember when I said I found one and I was like, do you want to go? You were like, yep. Yeah, no, I don't have to think about any notes beforehand for sure.
Just straight reactions. Got it.
Is it okay? Obviously, this is coming from Yahoo Answers.
Yeah.
Is it okay to have an embarrassing gym playlist? So when I'm at the gym, I have my own gym playlist, or sometimes I listen to the radio on Spotify where it plays music similar to what the artists I listen to would make. I'm 5'11", 233 pounds, and I love to lift heavy. My playlist really does help, but it is super embarrassing. I listen to hip-hop, country, and like EDM. God, the grammar on this, man. But most of the songs on my playlist are pretty corny, but it really helps. Is this okay?
Hold on. When he was saying like an embarrassing music playlist, like he literally had country, hip hop, and EDM.
I was gonna say
which are like three pretty mainstream genres of music. What's embarrassing about that?
I also just love that he has to kind of justify himself by saying like I'm 5'11", 233, as in like someone sitting there with a chart, like being like, okay, like running a matrix, being like,
sorry, you have to be 6 feet to listen to rap.
Yeah,
while you work
sorry,
out.
You're gonna have to cut out your hip hop, my guy. Like.
Like, I thought he was going to come out here with, like, he's listening to show tunes or...
Dude, I'm telling you, when I am a certified Bundy when I am in the gym listening to music. If anyone heard what was going on in my headphones, they would truly wonder if I need to be taken away.
What does go on in your headphones?
I go in waves. Like,
because I just imagine you'd be listening to Chance the Rapper nonstop.
Well, so there was a time where I would listen to Coloring Book just on absolute loop or acid rap. Like, that was a big thing. For me with music, when I find something that I really like, I absolutely hammer it for like weeks and weeks on end. There was one time where I went 1 week where I only listened to Katy Perry's Birthday. And it was on repeat. And I was just like, this is a banger. And I listened to that for so long. I would listen to speeches sometimes. I would listen to.
I don't think that's actually that crazy.
Yeah, like sometimes I would listen to like
pump up music like that. I think that's like actually a pretty.
There is something about listening to a good speech that I'm just like, yeah, you know what? Like I can, and then obviously now that
like motivational speeches, or
no, just like there were some that were
just like Barack Obama accepting the Democratic nomination for the presidency or something.
Kind of like there was some of those. Like I would listen to some McCain speeches and some Obama speeches. I would.
Oh wow, really? So it was like political speeches.
Yeah, like I would go like across the aisle and just be like, you know what? I just want to hear something that I know I haven't heard before. And like something that'll kind of get me.
See, that is. I wouldn't go so far as to say weird because I feel like I could do that too and be okay with it. But I definitely
compared to the norm, that's
definitely
weird.
Unusual. It's definitely unusual. I remember my first summer at camp. This was back in the era before there were like iPod Touch. Well, before I had an iPod Touch.
Right.
I had an iPod Classic.
Yep.
Because that was what I wanted. I wanted to be able to have 64 gigabytes of music.
Right, like, exactly. That was important.
Do I want an iPod Touch with 8 gigabytes of music? I could have all 4 songs on there.
And no internet?
Fuck out of here. So I had this, but this was also in a very big pop music phase, and I would listen during fitness periods to my Britney Spears catalog, which had 183 songs.
Jesus,
and this was, by the way, 183 songs in 2010. She's come out with like 3 or 4 albums since then. That's made it even more. But this was like every Britney Spears song that had ever come out. And that would be my music. And I remember one of my friends that summer, and I forget who, wanted to see like my iPod, wanted to use it on like a workout, like during boot camp, like for choice period.
Right.
I was like,
be careful what you wish for.
Not happening.
And this is obviously
it, Chief.
This is before you were out, right?
Yeah, no. So it was definitely like keep that lock tight.
Yeah,
like,
you are just
no
sweating
one
bullets.
Can know.
See, I always hate this idea of like there is no such thing as embarrassing music. Like this is a narrative that I will die on this hill. Like there is no such thing as embarrassing music because it's music. Like you don't get to decide what's embarrassing for who or what. Like I just love
counter example. If you're in the gym and you're listening to Baby Shark do, you should feel embarrassed.
Oh, really? Because you know what? I'm kind of cool with that.
What?
I'm cool with a parent. Okay, so you know how I think Baby Shark fits into motivating gym playlist is that.
Is that when you're done, you can stop listening to it and escape from this hell you've created for yourself?
I imagine two suburban parents, right? Two suburban parents like on the treadmill next to each other, and like they're feeling like they're losing it, like they're losing their minds, like they're kind of just they're gassed. And then all of a sudden, Baby Shark comes on, and they just go into fight or flight mode of like, oh my god, my kids are near me. They're just
run.
Yeah, they're just trying to get away from their kids and go to the gym for a little bit, and then they hear Baby Shark, and their kids just like coming towards them with all these requests and needs like a child. God, they just need to be more self-sustainable.
Yeah, why don't children just come out of the womb being able to do their own fucking taxes?
Yeah, just like be independent one time. But maybe that's how Baby Shark. I love this kind of outlook on this because I think that we should normalize all music, all forms of audio, all podcasts when you're at the gym.
Look, I'm totally with you there. There was a time where my strategy was like, if I'm on the treadmill, if I'm on the bike, I'm going to throw some Friends episodes on Netflix on my phone because I'll be watching this episode, and before I know it, 20 minutes have passed.
Right.
You know, watch 3 episodes, you've been there for an hour. It doesn't feel like it.
And I'll tell you what, that week that I listened to Birthday nonstop, I think I probably set like PRs in all of like my runs. Like,
yeah.
It was like, I don't know what about that song that just got me moving, but I was like, you know what? It's working.
Was it the part where Katy Perry's like, it's your birthday?
Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe I was just like, you know what? It is my birthday.
It's my birthday every day.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was a phase where I would listen to Pound Cake by Drake. Like, it's like 7 minutes long.
Cake.
Yeah, like, and I remember I could get zoned out to that song. And I would kind of forget, like, I was at the gym. And since it was 7 minutes, I just kind of would put it on loop, and it would almost feel like it would never really end. And for some reason, I could get in a zone like that. Like, I didn't need the change some weeks. Some weeks I could just run through with like one straight thing and it would get me. I know it's
one song.
I know. God. And I don't know why it works. I don't know what the chemistry is in my brain that would cause it to work, but it worked.
I mean, I can't really judge because I've literally been listening to Hamilton almost like nonstop with very few interruptions for, let's see, July, August, September.
Yeah, so better part of 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Almost 4 months. And, you know, it's a lot of the songs, you know, same beats, same things, different lyrics because it's a reprise.
The only thing that would, I think, qualify as embarrassing truly is if you get lost in the sauce at the gym and you're belting out choruses.
Yeah. That's you can't listen to a song that you can't resist singing.
Right. Yeah, like if you are just trying to curl some weights and you let out like a Hamilton chorus, like like if you let that out,
he will never be satisfied.
And someone next to you is just like, what do you mean? I'm satisfied. Like, I'm just doing my thing. You're like, I'm not talking to you.
Talk less. Smile more.
I'm just trying to sing my heart out here while I'm curling these 15s.
Yeah. Let me live my life.
Let me live. And that's the essence of Breddit and Butter, you know? It's just let me live.
Although I do need to circle back because I feel like I didn't spend enough time harping on this. Why does he feel like it's embarrassing to listen to the 3 like most dominant genres of music in our country today?
I wonder if he just like wanted to put the genres just to be like, this is so embarrassing, just so that somebody could be like, no, it's not. Like, I listen to bluegrass.
Like, I almost think it'd be hard to find like a place in America where any of those
genres aren't represented on somebody's playlist.
Right.
Yeah.
or like in the radio. Like,
yeah. I mean, if you were listening to like, I don't know, like Walt Disney yelling at his employees like that, yeah, I guess that's a little embarrassing, but that's not a genre, you know?
I mean, it could be.
It could be.
It could be because, you know, he yells, maybe you're listening to one song where he's yelling at, I'm not going to go down.
Can I talk about Walt Disney for a second, actually? I was
going to go to an anti-Semitic place.
I know,
bring up
but
to
just
Disney stuff.
Not the anti-Semitic stuff yet. You know what I mean? We'll talk about that at Epcot or some shit. But would you ever get cryogenically frozen?
Depends on what the reason is.
Disney's in the icebox, you know, like he's one big old capsicle right now, you know, like he's a big ice cube. What, like, would you, if someone gave you the option to be cryogenically frozen and then they'd be like, if we ever figure this shit out and can bring you back, we'll bring you back. Are you taking that deal? I know this is completely out of the realm of the show.
It kind of depends on the context. I mean, if tomorrow I were to find out that I have some sort of like, you know, like deadly disease and I have 3 months to live, then probably I'd be like,
freeze me up.
Wake me back up when you have a cure. But if it's just like, hey, like, do you want to be frozen and like wake up 1,000 years from now? Like, Not really.
So like when you're towards the end of your life, if someone comes to you and says like, hey, like we can freeze you and maybe bring you back 1,000 years from now.
I mean, if I'm towards the end of my life, why do I want to be here in 1,000 years?
Well, because for me, I kind of almost.
If I'm young and I like for me, it's like right now, if I was going to die in the next few months,
okay,
I have a lot of life that I could live if that one thing was cured. So that's the reason.
Okay.
But if I'm like 79 and I have like a month left to live and they're like, oh, do you want to just wait? No, it's like, I'm okay here.
You're okay going.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I would take the offer because like it's going to feel the same either way. Like you're just kind of unconscious. I mean, maybe we don't know what it's like after we kick, but part of me just kind of wants to be frozen and come back 1,000 years just to see what it's like.
Yeah.
And then it's just true. Like, hey, throw me on back in. Like, or
I guess that's true. Cause if I'm going to die anyway, whether I die, like
I might as well
1,000
see some cool shit potentially.
Yeah. I think it's, I also don't necessarily know that, the future will necessarily be a place that I'd rather live in than the present.
And more importantly, you know what the best part about being cryogenically frozen is? You maintain your weight.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah. Hey, what'd you do for a maintenance plan? I got frozen in a block of ice.
Well, how does that really? I guess it just like preserves you, right?
I think so.
You're not burning any sort of calories, but you're not ingesting any calories. I wonder what the science is cryogenically freezing. That's like a pseudoscience thing that isn't really. That's like science fiction still, as far as we know.
All I know is that
right?
that Walt's he's in a block right now.
Because like the way
so is Ted Williams, I think.
Yeah, Elvis, is he there too?
I don't know if he's frozen.
No.
Okay. I think he's
just on an island.
He's just Weekend at Bernieing, like Weekend at Bernie's at Graceland right now. I think. Yeah.
So you would definitely cryogenically freeze yourself.
I would definitely cryogenically freeze myself, I think.
Yeah, I might do it just because like
I just
you might as well. I mean,
I want to see what the year 3000 looks like.
Yeah,
just to see.
If I'm not sick or like dying, then no way, because I'm not gonna roll the dice that like, oh, I'll enjoy the next 40 years of my life more in 100 years. Than right now.
Like I would
never roll the dice on that.
I don't need to be around the future for that long too. Like I just kind of want to take it in and be like, huh. Well, you figured that out. You found a way to get the coffee to not drip from the plastic lid. Like, wow, you guys did it.
Well, I mean, like the real problem that I have with it is just the cryogenically frozen thing. It's a one-way trip, which makes me nervous. Like time machine, if like that's our hypothetical,
right?
Like if there's a way back, I'm a lot more comfortable with it. If it's a one-way trip, then I gotta have like
you gotta have
left.
some. Yeah,
I have nothing left to lose here. I need to have nothing left to lose here before I make that trip.
Yeah, then you just kind of go on a bender and you're like, yep, I'm back at rock bottom. Here we go, into the chamber.
No one will know.
Ice me up, Johnny. But okay, that's a good tangent. You know what? I don't think that it's embarrassing to have the gym playlist, and I also don't think it's embarrassing to get cryogenically frozen. Honestly, this is what Breddit and Butter's all about. We're zigging, we're zagging, but we are going to head into closing thoughts. And if you'll let me, I think the biggest thing for me, right, in the spirit of this episode, is that what I kind of realized about this past weekend with the wedding is that life is literally about capturing and appreciating moments when they're in front of you. It truly is something to behold when like when Andy Bernard says, like, I wish you could know you were in the good old days before you've left them.
Yes.
Like, that's what I sincerely felt this weekend, but in real time, like, I didn't have to say the Andy Bernard quote. Like
because you saw that you were in the good old days.
I was looking out over this wedding and being around people that I genuinely love being around. And all I could think of was just like, man, thank God you are appreciating this moment. And when you're on a weight loss journey, we're so conditioned to think that like, well, once I'm done, I can get back to my life. But since we have often said that this isn't a point A to point B thing, this is a point A to forever. You can't expect to just not enjoy moments and not capture moments and just say like, you know what, I have to put my life on hold. I can't really be doing these things right now. I can't ever be in the moment because it's all about the weight loss journey. It doesn't have to be like that. You can strike a balance in which you are looking out for yourself, but also enjoying the moments that are in front of you because they're not going to be there forever. You know what I mean? Like you only get an opportunity to celebrate these things so often that you have to get in there and dance. You got to participate. You got to have the time of your life because you never want to be looking back and be like, well, I nailed it on my weight loss execution, but I do wish that I like talked to people at the wedding. Like
I think that's really good advice.
And I think that for everybody, I know it's so much easier said than done. But you know what? We're here for you every step of the way. Every single week, the big guys are here for you.
Every single week.
Let's talk it out. But you know what, folks? We want to thank you for listening to another episode of Sorry for the Wait. If you want to submit, if you want to get at us, SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com.
And don't forget to follow us on every social media platform.
A little like, a little poke, a little talk.
Little tick.
Little tweet. Little retweet. Little quote tweet.
Little double tap.
Little double tap. Yeah, you double tap us all the time. Okay, here we go. Hey, if you want to leave us a voicemail, 774-855-9433.
And of course, we would really love it if you would give us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts.
We wouldn't just love it. It would be fabuloso if you would. I mean, I would love it so much. I don't know what I'd do.
Before we go, I do have one last closing thought. And this one I'll bring to you straight from the Bible.
Oh, Jesus. Literally.
I think it was actually Jesus who said this. Let he who is without skim eat the first scone.
He did say that. I remember reading that.
Yeah.
What's that? Is that Pumpernickel 2:13?
I think
so. Is that what it is? I know.
So.
It was weird that they put a scone thing in the Pumpernickel section. Verses.
It doesn't belong there. It actually belongs in the pastry book.
I still haven't finished the book yet, so don't spoil it for me. But until next time, folks, I'm Seth.
And I'm Strawberry.
And remember, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, and keep your snacks the closest.